I want to comment on a mistake that many people engaging in self-inquiry often deal with. And that is when in self-inquiry, one is looking for the I, chasing the I, hunting the I. People believe often that this means that you ask, who am I? Or where is the I coming from? And whatever answer pops into your head or sort of feels intuitively right superficially, that you just go with that. And then, of course, you apply the method of uh, is this something I'm aware of? And if it's something I'm aware of, then it's not the I. Okay, well, that second part is fine. But the first part is often problematic. It's fine as a start to say, whatever answer pops into my head, the first thing comes to mind when I say, who am I? That's, that's where it feels like the I is coming from. But often what happens is that people feel as if their I is coming from, let's say, I don't know, their head or something like that, and they repeatedly go back to that feeling over and over and over again. Because when they ask, who am I, that's the feeling that keeps recurring as the top, off the top of their head. I'd encourage seekers to use a little bit more discrimination and understanding in what it is we're looking for. What are we looking for in self-inquiry? It's that you know that you are right now. Right? You just know it as a very simple, everyday, common sense fact. It isn't some grand spiritual revelation. You just know. Of course, I'm here right now. I am right now. I'm aware right now. These are all words for saying the same thing. Um, every time you see anything or hear anything or feel anything or think anything, you're aware not only of the thing, but also you're aware of the fact that I am aware of this thing. I'm here. It's not just the thing, not just the experience, but the knowledge of the experiencer. And not just the knowledge of any experiencer. That experiencer feels like you. It's your experience we're talking about. So how do you know that you're here right now? That sense. Now, of course, it's not absolutely a sense, right? Because the rule is that anything that is a feeling or a thought or anything else you can be aware of can't be the source of the knowledge that you are. Why not? Because the source of the knowledge that you are is the experiencer, and it is aware of everything else. So, for example, if you thought, oh, it's coming from my head, that's where the sense of I is coming from, you're aware of that sensation in your head. Who's aware of it? You're aware of it. So you're aware of the sensation of the head, and you're also aware that you are aware of the sensation in your head. So obviously, the sensation in the head cannot be the source of both of these. It's the object, and you as a subject are aware of it. So how do you know that you're there to be aware of the sensation in your head? That very immediate light, that whatever you want to call it, that knowledge, that sense, that intuition, none of these words are exactly right. We're trying to see what that is. It's almost a bit like you're hearing a noise that's sort of echoing around in your room, and you're trying to find out, where's this noise coming from? And you're hearing it, right? And you walk this way and you're still hearing the noise, and you walk that way and you're still hearing the noise, and you're trying to pinpoint where the noise is coming from. Now, there's going to be a little bit of a trick with self-inquiry in this, because somehow, unlike a noise in a room, the sense of I seems to be steady no matter where in the room you are. So a little hard to locate that way. But you do hear, quote unquote, hear the I. Wherever you are, you're hearing it. You're hearing it in the sense of knowing that you are. So you're trying to turn your attention towards that. Now, this kind of misconception about, it's just sort of this feeling that I get, this mislabeling, right, of a feeling as the I, which is, it's perfectly natural and normal, but I also encourage you, get over it, understand what we're looking for. And so that way, when you understand what we're looking for, you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Just like if you had lost your keys someplace, you'd already checked a certain drawer, maybe that's the first drawer that it feels like you left your keys in that drawer. It feels like you left your keys there. You check the drawer, the keys aren't there. You look around, where did I leave my keys? It feels like I left it in that drawer. Let me check again. You check again, right? And you do this over and over and over again. Right? At a certain point, you've got to recognize the keys are not in that drawer. The keys were never in that drawer, probably. So in the same way, right? When you get to a certain sensation or feeling, you recognize this isn't what we're looking for. It cannot possibly be what we're looking for. Not to keep revisiting it over and over again, but to recognize what we're looking for is wherever that knowledge is coming from that you are. It's not coming from a place in your head. It's not coming, in fact, from any emotions or thoughts. But you do have that knowledge. It's not a logical inference. It's not like you look outside at the world and say, oh, I see a tree. Because I see a tree, therefore I must exist. It's not because you see a tree, therefore you must exist. Simultaneously with the seeing of the tree, you also know that you exist. Where is that knowledge coming from, which is separate from the knowledge of the tree? What is that? You do know it. You have it. It's not one of your sense organs exactly. I mean, as you'll discover, it's not one of your thoughts. It's not one of your feelings. What is it then? You have that. It's coming through somewhere. It's coming through some channel, through some instrument. You're grasping that light, that knowledge, that sense of self-consciousness. What is that? That's what inquiry is. So you turn your attention, you try to turn your attention towards that. And when you actually try, what happens? You land on something else, like some thought or feeling, and then you immediately recognize that's not the subject, that's an object, that's not the experiencer, that's an experience. And then you can either say, well, who's experiencing that? Or you can simply turn back to your initial, basic sense of the knowledge that you are. Either way, it doesn't matter. You go on changing your focus over and over again, refocusing and refocusing, hopefully being less and less distracted by these objects that offer themselves up as possible solutions, but which cannot possibly be the solution. You want to be less and less distracted by them over time and keep your focus like a laser beam, hunting, chasing, rushing after this strange, elusive knowledge that you have, not quite catching it, but you're following it as best you can. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Because it's elusive, but it's also something which you know right here, right now. That knowledge, what does that knowledge consist? And this is, this kind of mistake that I'm talking about is also why people often think like, oh, like I was searching for the I and then the I just disappeared. No, the I did not just disappear. What happened is that something that you had mislabeled as the I disappeared. You know, that sensation in the head, which people might start with, for example, that may go away. That was not the I. That was a sensation in the head that you mislabeled as the I. That might go away. That doesn't mean the I has disappeared. So how do you know if the I has quote unquote really disappeared? Well, for one thing, you wouldn't be asking the question. Secondly, effortless peace and liberation. Not as a concept or a belief, but as a fact. It's not that you look around in self-inquiry, you can't find the I, you therefore conclude, as an intellectual belief, there is no I. No. That's another belief or concept. What is that which is aware of that very conclusion? That, oh, there must be no I. That's the I we're looking for. When one penetrates into its true nature, it's not really exactly that there is no I. It's that the I isn't what we think it is. When we lift the veil of our misconceptions about the I, and the I in its truth shines as nothing but the self, which is freedom. The important point is, if you're doing self-inquiry, if you're chasing the I, do not think that you're just chasing whatever in the moment occurs to you as when you ask the question, you know, where's the I, like just whatever thought comes up, whatever feeling comes up as the first thing, that's the answer to your question, which you then focus on. Use your discernment, use your understanding, and actively look for, not in this passive way, just asking this question and then just following whatever comes up, but recognize, try to recognize what you're looking for. You're looking for how you know that you are. You know that you are. How do you know that? Where is that knowledge coming from? So look with understanding. Look with intelligence, not just taking up whatever sort of habitual, whatever comes to mind things that your mind serves up, not to simply take them at face value, but to recognize that you're engaged in a process like a detective. You know, you're inspecting, you're examining, you are looking for where this thing that you're experiencing every second, which is your knowledge of yourself, what that is, what that is, what is that? What is that knowledge?